And just like that, the 2025 season comes to an end. What started all the way back in late August against UTEP now comes to an end today in Boise, with Utah State losing this game 34-21. Aggies finished the year under 500 at 6-7. But there's a lot to build from. There's a lot to develop. You got a coaching staff and a little stability alongside that coaching staff. So Utah State now gets set for recruiting season, transfer portal, spring ball, and then into the summer as well. But, Kevin, it's been a heck of a year for sure. Or a roller coaster, to say the least.
Roller coaster for sure. You think about what happened in Vegas. You think about what happened against Boise State. And you walk out now at 6-7 with 4 consecutive non-winning seasons. If that's how you look at it, with the 3 consecutive bowl losses now, 6-7, 6-7, 4-8, and now 6-7. And it's certainly going in the right direction. You can see the change is starting to happen with Bronco Mendenhall and his staff and these kids. But there's still a lot of gaping holes to fill. I'm really anxious to see what happens tomorrow. How many are going to jump into the portal in this next week for Utah State? Because then that will then dictate. I think they probably have a good idea who's going to go and who's going to stay. But at the same time, we called out a handful of different needs that we saw play out through the course of the season, that Bryson Barnes was just so effective at covering up many of the deficiencies, especially along those offensive line. So it really starts in the trenches for Utah State now as you roll into the spring season. And, I'm anxious to talk to Bronco here at the end of the game, as he'll come up and join us in just a few minutes. But I'm anxious to see what his thoughts are, or if he's going to want to be a little bit more reflective on what happened here with this team. He's talked about it all season long, how much he loves and appreciates this group, and they've responded for him. They played hard every single snap and every time out. We're just a little deficient in so many different areas, and they were exposed again here this afternoon. 628 yards of total offense given. 9 of 18 on third down conversions defensively. And then on offense, just too much pressure in the face of the quarterbacks to really be effective. Could never really get the running game untracked. And as it ends up, Washington State walks out with a 34-21 win.
Today's post-game show brought to you by Farm Bureau agent Bruce Jones. Contact Bruce at 435-752-3233. It's your future. Time to protect it. All right, Aggies take a tough loss today, 34-21 in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. We'll take a break, come back, continue on with your post-game show next on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield.
Looking for a luxurious local space to host your next gathering? The Hive Event Center in downtown Logan brings modern elegance to your wedding, private party, or business event. Your guests will be amazed at the glamorous design, and you'll benefit from the advanced tech included in every rental, from DIY parties to full-service packages. 255 South Main in Logan behind Beehive Grill. Luxury lives here. The Hive is your place to gather.
Luxury lives here. Luxury lives here. The Hive.
See us online at thehivelogan.com.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice. When it comes to home care, it's important for you to know you do have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of home care services, remember Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient, not the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Call for a free home safety evaluation, 787-1369, and visit primrosecare.com. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
Need a great deal near USU? Mention Aggie 79 and score a room at the Baum Hotel for just $79. Enjoy charming, homey hospitality in downtown Logan. You'll love the clean, spacious rooms and friendly, attentive staff. Take advantage of free breakfast, free Wi-Fi, and a seasonal outdoor pool. At that price, it can't be beat. $79 rooms with Aggie 79 at the Baum Hotel. Value every day of the week. Call 435-752-5220. That's 752-5220.
There's no better way to ring in the new year than the Riverwoods Conference Center's unforgettable New Year's Eve buffet. Enjoy an evening filled with flavor and celebration that includes deliciously carved herb-roasted New York steak and blackened turkey, along with entrees like teriyaki salmon, spice-glazed ham, chicken, shrimp, and more. The Riverwoods will also have an endless choice of appetizers, side dishes, and tasty desserts. Reserve your New Year's Eve plans today at riverwoodsnewyeardinner.planningpod.com. That's riverwoodsnewyeardinner.planningpod.com.
This Aggie broadcast is brought to you by Primrose Home Care and Hospice. Exceptional home health care in the comfort of your own home on KVNU, the Heritage Home for the Aggies.
State, they lose this game to Washington State. Final score 34-21 as Utah State now looks ahead to the 2026 season, which Kevin can't get here fast enough, but we still got some basketball games yet to be played as a pre-Christmas trip here to Boise does not go the way that Utah State would have hoped, but a lot to learn from. But I think you bring up a really good point in terms of Utah State understanding who they are, where they are, and what they need to address. There were a lot of smoke and mirrors done by this coaching staff to get this team to where they were at 6 wins this year, and right there on the cusp of getting 8 wins this year. So, those coaches did a heck of a job. Let's just say that.
No doubt. And I think Aggie Nation recognizes that and sees the effort. You see the rally to the football with so many, defenders trying to run to the football. You see the effort. You see the personal foul penalties that we've seen so much of over the last 4 or 5 years really were diminished this year. So playing with discipline, playing with effort, playing with purpose, and that really comes from a coaching staff that preaches that. And so I think that, that's certainly something you can build upon. You've got to get bigger, faster, stronger, and you're going to have to probably do that through the portal because you did have a good recruiting class, but that's going to take a little while for that group to really mature. So can you get a couple of those guys that may be able to contribute next year? Perhaps. But likely you're going to have to rebuild, as you will every year, through the portal. And where you talked about get old, stay old, what's happening for Utah State and so many at the Group of 5 level is they're starting out and getting them to sophomore, junior year and then losing them to higher-paying institutions. And so you don't have that ability to stay old unless you go take and pick off from the lower levels that you're working with. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what you'll see is Utah State will likely go get a quarterback or two out of the NCS, FCS ranks, or they may go the junior college route to pick up a dual threat kind of quarterback that can maybe be a little bit Bryson Barnes-esque.
Well, and there's another direction too where guys are coming down and looking for opportunities. And Bryson Barnes at the University of Utah just wanted somebody to give him a shot and be the guy. And Utah State was that, and obviously we see the fruits of that. So there's multiple ways you can skin that cat, and Utah State's going to address all of those and try to find ways to make that happen because obviously it's a key element that Utah State's got to be in a situation where they upgrade offensive line. You're going to probably need an entirely new quarterback room. Receivers you saw, and you know what, honestly, and this is on me a little bit, and it wasn't any disrespect to Braden Pagan, but it really felt like, okay, you know what, you lose Pagan, but you've got receivers that have all contributed throughout the year. You should be okay. I guess I really underestimated the ability of Braden Pagan and what he meant to this offense.
And certainly somebody recognized it because there was some tampering going on that picked off Braden Pagan before this game he was even played. And credit to this coaching staff to take a young man who got, to your point, at UCLA got no run. And so he comes to Utah State and the coaching staff here and gives him the opportunity, and he turns into an all-conference performer. But what you saw today play out, and you saw it a little bit as he was banged up against Boise State, was the inability to get separation. So you're going to have to get some speed at that wide receiver position that can create that separation so that they can go for some of those big explosive plays. They got a couple in the second half here this afternoon with Brady Boyd. And Jacob Conover came in and really, I thought, played pretty well in that fourth quarter. 5 of 7 for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns, one to Brady Boyd and one to Javen Jacobs. I think they're going to have to also replace Miles Davis. You hope that Noah White can come back at full strength, and we're not sure what he'll have to go through in the spring, but they'll probably have to reload and clearly at tight end as well. And you really missed, I thought you missed Josh Sturzer and Brock Lane in the running game especially, but a little bit in the throw game here this afternoon as well. Both of those guys out. You had that missing here this afternoon. And so just needs kind of across the board, and that's what it's going to be to reload almost every single year.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the world you're living in right now for sure. Utah State loses this game 34-21. Today's post-game show, again, brought to you by Farm Bureau agent Bruce Jones. Contact Bruce at 435-752-3233. It's your future. Let's protect it. Let's pause 10 seconds for local stations to identify themselves. This is Aggie Football from Learfield.
Covering Aggie football like no one else does. News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM and 610 AM. The home for USU Aggie fans.
Aggies fall to 6-7 on the season. We'll take another break. Come back. You will hopefully hear from John Miller from that defense, as well as Bronco Mendenhall right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Aggie fans, with football season here and fall in the air, ski and snowboard season is just around the corner. Remember how much fun last season was? We are anticipating more of the same. Student season passes for this season go on sale September 1st at skithebeeve.com. The best way to beat the winter blues is to head to the mountains for some great family fun recreation. Don't let another year go by without getting in on the great times to be had at Beaver Mountain. And as always, think snow.
At Engel & Falkers Logan, our real estate advisors are known for their unmatched level of local neighborhood knowledge, paired with extensive global resources and personal connections to provide an exclusive experience tailored to each of our clients' unique needs. We dedicate our time, expertise, and passion to help you follow your dream home.
When you're on the move and looking for nonstop college sports action, get the Varsity Network app and take the game with you everywhere. Stream live play-by-play from schools across the country right from your phone, free. Catch hundreds of weekly podcasts, including shows from your favorite teams, all in one place. From football Saturdays to midweek hoops, it's your all-access pass to the college sports world. Whether it's game day or just your daily drive, the Varsity Network app has you covered. Download now and listen live for free on the Varsity Network app.
.628 yards of total offense for Washington State. By the way, Brevin Hamblin will be our guest here on the postgame show. 254 yards of total offense for Utah State. Aggies were able to get 14 points there in the fourth quarter and get their first touchdown of the game in the third quarter. But Washington State, I thought Utah State did about as well as they possibly could, holding Washington State at bay, forcing field goals, some opportunities. And then it just it's tough when you're in this game and you're trying to find a way to keep it alive and keep your opportunities going. Washington State ended up making plays down the stretch, especially as their offense started to get going in the second half, and the Aggies lose this game 34-21. Brevin Hamblin kind enough to join us. Tough day for the Utah State Aggies, again losing this game by 13. Brevin, when you come to an end of a season and it's over just like that, how hard is that to try to accept that this run is done?
Man, it is, especially when you have a team as close as ours, and those seniors, man, that was their last night going out there and putting pads on for the Aggies. So that's hard, but I mean, we got a quick turnaround into our off season. So 2 weeks we'll be back.
So when you come to postseason like this, Brevin, how do you mix a little bit of fun, but still make it a business trip? What was that like for you guys coming into this game this afternoon?
Yeah, I feel like our mindset was good about this whole trip. Like, we could turn on when we were supposed to have fun, be with the boys, and then when it came practice time, we were able to flip the switch and lock right in. And, I mean, it's a long trip to have everyone here and stuff, and it's good, but we just got to stay locked in for the whole game and play more physical.
Did Washington State throw anything at you that you didn't expect?
Nope. They made more plays than we did. We gotta make more plays.
When you know, and obviously it's just fresh after this bowl game, but you've had a couple of weeks since the Boise game to kind of think back on this season, and I'm curious just to get your thoughts of, transferring from Utah Tech up to Utah State. What are some of the fun and important things that you have learned or taken from this season?
Man, honestly, just the brotherhood that this team has is everyone was united and everyone wanted to come together to, at least make it to this bowl game and have the best season we could. And I feel like just as a friendship with all my teammates, I've grown so much more socially with this team.
So off-season starting here pretty soon. Obviously, in this day and age of college athletics, there'll be a lot of transition in terms of transfer portal and things like that. When you look going into spring and fall, do you embrace that role as a leader to know that, hey, we may have a little bit of a new locker room and let's get these guys together pretty quickly?
Yeah, of course. Especially I'm going into my senior year. I mean, who else than me to step up and be a leader for this team and this defense? And I mean, we got something to set and for next year.
You guys, over the last 6 games since that game at New Mexico, really started to piece this defense together and figure out how to keep guys out of the end zone and how to limit the amount of points. What would you say were the couple of things that you took as a defense to say, you know what, now we're starting to get this thing and starting to play together?
Man, I feel like there was just a big mentality shift after that New Mexico game. Like, I mean, we were preaching it all year, and our defense just wasn't able to grasp it and run with it. And after that, it was kind of like a wake-up call after that New Mexico game, and we came out, and after that game, man, we've been playing lights out, and I mean, it's been good.
So you look at next year, you look at what's ahead of you. Now that you know what to expect out of a Nick Howell and Bronco Mendenhall defense, now you know what they expect from you in the offseason. How much does that give you an advantage, knowing where the expectations are and what you have to do to make sure that you continue to play at a high level?
Yeah, I think for me it's like for the mentality of going into this offseason, it's like I know I can do it. Now it's how hard can I push myself and the people around me, because obviously we got work to do over this offseason to come back and fight for a Pac-12 championship. So
when you come out of Utah Tech, I'm sure, look, I've met you enough times. I know you're a very confident guy, but when you're out there and you're thinking, okay, I played at this level, can I play at this level? Can I play at this next level? And you transition so easily. Did you even kind of surprise yourself that you were able to pick up this Mountain West level and play at this high of a level throughout the year?
I think at first maybe a little bit, but I mean, through spring ball and fall camp, you know, just gaining the confidence of running with the ones, and you know, we got good players on our offense, so hanging with our offense, and I mean, I gained my confidence pretty quick. But I'd say the first of the year it was kind of, you know, everyone's got those nerves at the first of the year, especially as a transfer. So, but I feel like I've got my confidence, and I mean, man, we're ready to go for next year.
And so what are those steps that you need to take personally and for this defense? What are the next steps that you think you need to take in spring ball to get yourself ready for the Pac-12 schedule next year?
I mean, you hear it a lot, bigger, faster, stronger. So, I mean, for me personally, that's true. Put some weight on, get faster, and, man, just come back ready with a chip on your shoulder for next year, Pac-12.
Sounds like you're ready to get after it for 2026 right now.
Hey, I'm ready. Senior year, we got to get it.
Well, it's been great getting to know you. It's been great watching you out on the field. You give it every opportunity you get. Just stay out of those DMs. Don't look at any of them. They're not important, and we want to see you back here in a Utah State uniform next year. Oh, that makes you nervous when it ends like that.
Brevin, did
we lose you for a sec?
Yeah, you were cutting in and out, but I hear you now.
Okay.
We said don't look at those DMs.
Yeah, just stay out of the DMs, and let's get you back in an Aggie uniform next year.
Yeah. I'm about it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Appreciate it. Brevin Hamblin right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield. Boy, that silence made us all a little nervous.
All of a sudden, I got a little nervous. I mean, there's a guy that finishes the season with 114 tackles, another 12 tonight, and as he gets bigger, he's already 6'5". That frame is so rangy out there, and he covers so much ground. But as he puts on another 15 pounds, let's say, and he get to that 215, 220 range, and he's still he's got the speed that he's got, that will be a really good pillar to build around in that defensive secondary for Utah State defensively. And it's a defense that did give up a lot of yards. It's a defense that did give up a lot of chunks. But they were able to limit points, as they did again here tonight, to keep their offense and the team in the game. And Brevin Hamblin will be a key piece next year.
No doubt about it. And you love the excitement that he had. If you're an Aggie fan and hearing that interview, that's got to put a smile on your face on what may be a day that didn't go the way you wanted, but you got a group of dudes that are ready to run this thing back and get after it next year.
Yeah, certainly. You come out of Las Vegas and you felt, and Boise, the game against Boise, and you felt differently than you do right now. I mean, this wasn't obviously for a conference championship. It was for pride and bowl victory and postseason and get to 7-6, and it's against a future conference opponent. And so there are some downsides, But there's a lot to build upon, a lot of positives to build upon, and you could hear that in the voice of Brevin Hamblin.
No doubt about it. We'll take another break, come back, hopefully hear from Bronco Mendenhall straight ahead. This is Aggie football from Learfield.
Calling all Utah State Aggies. You know who you are, and we know you love to come home to Cache Valley to cheer on your favorite Aggie teams. The University Inn has a special rate just for you. Enjoy free covered parking, free Aggie ice cream, and breakfast with a waffle bar, all in the center of the campus, just steps away from all the exciting Aggie home events. The University Inn has your cozy room at a comfortable price. Just ask for the Aggie Athletic rate.
Hey Aggies fans, when your business needs a tech touchdown, Les Olson IT delivers. We keep your network secure, your printers running, and your team moving down the field. Score big with Les Olson IT, your office technology partner. Don't fumble your business tech. Call Les Olson IT today or visit lesolson.com. Let's get your team winning big.
Hey, Benjamin, we've got a surprise for you.
What?
You have a brother. $100 bill just like you.
Hey, I'm Ben.
What? We just got him for joining America First Credit Union and opening a new checking account.
And you're going to live together at America First.
What?
This is nice.
For a limited time, new members get a $100 cash bonus when they open a checking account or $50 when they open a youth checking account. So head to AmericaFirst.com and get your money working today. Membership eligibility, terms, and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Final here in Boise, Idaho. Frankly, can't get off this Smurf turf fast enough. Utah State loses this game 34-21. Kevin, we got to call a win here. We got to call a win in this stadium.
We'll be back here next year.
Yeah.
For sure, because we did play Boise at home. I would assume, maybe with the Pac-12 schedule, Boise State comes back to us in Logan next year.
I doubt. Boise State, I don't think, is going to be too keen on that, and I think they probably carry a pretty big voice in this whole thing.
Do you think they have some weight?
I don't think they'll have as much weight as they did in the Mountain West, but, they do carry a pretty big stick, so we'll see. I'm really fascinated to see what this looks like next year. I mean, this is right now. You take that jersey, you rip that MW off, and you put a P12 logo on there, or whatever that logo is going to look like, or what this conference is even going to be named, and it's going to be fascinating to see what it will indeed be.
I am excited to see it. I mean, when you think about this team, Washington State and Oregon State and Texas State coming into this league, I'm super excited about what this is going to look like. And obviously in basketball, it's going to be a lights-out conference as well. So a lot of good things ahead for Utah State. And I thought that this was a season that you kind of got yourself righted.
Yeah.
With a chance to possibly get to a conference championship with a couple of kicks. It's just remarkable how much they got out of this team in this season. And I know that, and I'll ask Coach Mendenhall about this when we get him in here to talk to us in just a few minutes. But he told me in August that he said, I think we'll be right at the end fighting by the skin of our teeth for bowl eligibility. And he was spot on. The margins in this league, and we saw it play out against Boise State, that margin has been eliminated.
Yeah.
Now it's even.
Yeah.
Now it's even. And now can you continue to build upon that and go past that and become the program that Bronco thinks that they can become in Logan, Utah? And you got to believe that with Cam Walker, who's told us that he's upping the level of resources that can be applied to player acquisition. Talent acquisition is the term he likes to use. That is going to be something that I think Utah State will have to dip into, and Aggie Nation will have to lean into, so that this team can become one of those power programs within this new conference.
And that's, you need to, you want to shoot for championships everywhere, but, you need to be the top third of everything. Top third in standings, top third in revenue, top third in NIL spending, top third in sponsorships. Everything you need to be doing, you say, hey, we're in the top 2 or 3 of this conference in everything you do. And on a bad year, you're 3. Good year, you're number 1.
And it's played out that way this year.
Yeah.
Soccer, volleyball, basketball is trending right there.
Yes.
Gymnastics, and now football is right there. This program is only going up. And I think that, you have a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth after what you did here this afternoon, but that doesn't diminish now the turn of where this program is going.
Yeah. And so Utah State loses this game 34-21. Can we just take a moment and appreciate the greatness that is Bryson Barnes? And like, you played the position, you know the amount of abuse, and you saw the abuse that he took all year long. It may not be a Junior Seau hit, but it's a pretty solid. This kid got knocked around, and he kept on coming.
Yeah, so the guy that got hit by Junior Seau was a little more brittle than this kid. This young man was amazing, and he clearly wasn't right today. He had bad legs, bad shoulder, bad back. I mean, he just kept battling through it week after week after week. And what does he do? He throws for 2,700 yards. He rushes for 800 yards. He accounts for 28 touchdowns. Just a remarkable, remarkable season. And if it were not for a couple of missed kicks or plays here and there, he probably would have been the Conference Player of the Year. I am super excited to see an NFL team take a run on this young man because they're not going to get a better leader, a more competitive guy that will be a glue guy in the locker room. And if you have a need in an emergency situation, he could carve out a 10-year career in the NFL.
I really think that. Even if it's he's like, what do you want me to do? I'll do it. You want me to be a holder? You want me to be a long snapper? Whatever. He'll do it, and he'll be great at it. And, frankly, I think it's only a matter of time when that gets done that he's walking the sidelines somewhere, because he's got that kind of football IQ and the intellect to be able to take that to another level.
I had a chance to visit with him out in Fresno a few weeks ago, and he was not – it was the night before the game, and he was not feeling great. The shoulder was hurting. The back was hurting. And then, do you remember what he did that night, the next night at Fresno State?
I think that's a signature moment in Aggie athletics, frankly.
In history.
Yeah.
In Aggie football history, to see a young man will a team to victory, down 17-7 at halftime, and then come and do what he did in the second half of that game. He just refused to take himself out of the game. Now, he had to here this afternoon. We're anxious to see. Probably it might be a concussion protocol situation for him. And that's kind of fitting way for him to step out, is on a big hit that he would not go down. He went forward and not backwards and sliding backwards. And that was what I'll always remember about Bryson Barnes.
Utah State suffers a loss today, 34-21. We hope to be able to hear from Bronco Mendenhall here momentarily as the Aggies try to rally and find a way to, there's momentum lost when you lose the last game of the year. But I think there's also a fire there saying, okay, guess what? We got that game over with. We got that season over with. Now we have the blueprint. Let's go forward.
And the blueprint is established.
Yeah.
And the earned, not given mantra that Coach Mendenhall has instilled into this team, into this program, into this staff, into this institution. I mean, Bronco Mendenhall is a perfect fit for this institution and in Cache Valley. He's perfect for it. And he's now established it. So now, where do you take it from here? And you build upon that. And I think that Utah State and Aggie Nation will look at this and say, you know what? I consider that a successful season.
Yes.
For Utah State to right itself from where it was a year and a half ago to what they went through, both administration as well as the coaching staff, and now to kind of come out, new president, new AD, new coaching staff here, new conference, and you just see the trajectory now moving forward. It's nothing but bright.
Well, and I think you bring up a really good point. This is the first time in 2.5 years you're entering the offseason with a certain level of stability. Bronco will be back. You've got a great athletic director. You've got a new president that are all committed. They're all on the same page. Nobody's got any ulterior motives. Nobody's got anything that they're trying to accomplish on the side or look for another job. Like, everybody's dialed in. And now you can really address NIL. You can address spending. You can attack revenue, because nobody has a foot out the door. And that may not always be the case, but as of right now, going into 2026, everybody's on the same page. Everybody's got ties to the community. Everybody knows exactly how to succeed in Cache Valley. And, again, it's been a crazy couple of years for Utah State, but this is the first time in a while you come into an offseason, you're like, okay, what do we need to do? You're back, you're back, you're back. All right, let's go. Because the players may not – look, you may lose players, and they're going to come and go, but if you can have a good president – a great athletic director, and a great coach, you're going to be just fine.
And they're all aligned.
Yes. Yep.
And the sky is the limit for that. Now, I think you also probably get Kevin McGibbon and Nick Howell back as well, I would guess. Now, you never know what happens in the offseason with the coaching staffs that are going to be coming and going here and there. And there will certainly be some adjustments that need to be made there as well. But at the top levels, the leadership is in place, and it's going to be solid going forward. And I'm so excited to see that play out, at least for the next several years. And you're right. You've got President Brad Mortensen, super supportive of Utah State athletics. Cam Walker, obviously, is all sorts of dialed in as we got the chance to visit with he and his family before the game. And the boys are all dressed up in Aggie gear, and he's got his daughter back now and will be going to Utah State. They're all in. And so now can you heal some of the divides that happened and the business community and the small business community feeling maybe a little bit more like a transaction instead of a true partner? Those partnerships now start to come back into play. The future is so bright here for Utah State, and they are going to be at that top third of every program in this new conference, battling for a chance to play in a playoff, I think, in the next 2 years.
All right, we'll take a break, come back, and wrap this thing up next and hear from Bronco Mendenhall as Utah State loses this one 34-21 right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield.
Come chill with us in Logan, where we do winter right. Head outside for adventure you'll never forget. Bundle up and take a horse-drawn sleigh ride through a herd of 600 elk. We're home to Beaver Mountain and Cherry Peak ski resorts where you can ski, board, or even go tubing. Need some extra adrenaline? Rent snowmobiles at Beaver Creek Lodge. Don't forget Aggie basketball and hockey, live theater performances, and more activities than I can mention. Check it out at explorelogan.com/winter. That's explorelogan.com/winter.
Calling all Aggies in Utah. Show your Utah State University pride and help fund student scholarships with the Aggie license plate. A-plate owners across the state have helped raise more than $3.25 million in scholarship support so far. Give the gift of education and ride with Aggie pride. Visit usu.edu/A-plate to learn more.
Hi, this is Gene Needham of S.E. Needham Jewelers. For more than a century, we have been selling diamond engagement rings. For the best price on diamonds, you must shop with a trained eye. This means you should compare many diamonds, use magnification, and ask specific questions. Why not? It will likely be the most important jewelry purchase you'll ever make. Right now on display, we have Utah's largest selection of beautifully cut diamonds. Our diamonds simply sparkle more, and they're offered at internet pricing. Shop and compare, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Utah State loses this one 34-21. Aggies now will get set for what should be a very interesting offseason. But, you know, as we look back and we wait on Bronco, and he's got a ton of obligations coming off of a bowl game. But when you reflect on a season, you look at some moments that were great. The Fresno State game will always be the pinnacle of this season and probably the pinnacle of Utah State football. If you just look at individual performance that's a legendary performance people are going to be talking about for decades from now. But then you also look at, moments where this team had to learn. The trip to Hawaii did not go well. The trip to New Mexico certainly did not go well. And so there's learning experiences, and it was a roller coaster. You were on Colossus on this throughout this season.
You get off to that 3-1 start with wins against UTEP. And the game against Air Force was a beauty. Remember that game? That was a beautiful game for Utah State. And then you get the McNeese win mixed in with then the Texas A&M trip, the Vandy trip, the Hawaii trip. The Vandy-Hawaii trip kind of tripped up this team just a little bit. And then, of course, the game at New Mexico. And that was really the turning point, I thought. But you're right. The game that will be the Hawaii of Gary Anderson's era, what was that, 2011?
Yeah.
That sort of started to turn the tide. I think that Fresno State, when you go back and look at this season, that Fresno State game will be one that we'll long look back at and remember as a turning point for this program.
Joining us now, he is the head coach of Utah State, Bronco Mendenhall, kind enough to join us here in the booth. And, Coach, you go, and it's always 90 miles an hour, and to see it end as quickly as it does, how difficult is that for a coach and a staff to realize that this season has come to an end?
It's hard to know what to say in the locker room. I was just with our team prior to the press conference after the game, and the names and faces as I'm looking at them, the words just don't come. Not that can reflect the magnitude of just the appreciation and gratitude I have for them, the amount of work they put in, the belief in the leadership and the program, and the chance to get to a 13th game. We were all really hopeful and wanted to see our team have success. the unity, the commitment, the camaraderie, all the cultural things manifest. Our execution and consistency did not at a level needed to win this game. And you put that in context of kind of a Pac-12 preview and what that's going to look like, and another time to go on the road, because even though, right, it's a bowl game, it still is a road game. And so lots of learnings and kind of benchmarking that can be done that way as well. So trying to express all of that, gratitude for the upperclassmen that are leaving, framing the future for the underclassmen that are returning, all at the same time, minutes after the course of the game. So I don't think I've ever done that exactly appropriately in a manner that can really capture all that. But that's really what's expected from the leader. And so sometimes it's not the words, it's how you say it. And I'm hoping that carried through into our players, just so they know the gratitude I have for them.
I'm guessing that since the Boise State game several weeks ago till now, you've had a chance to kind of reflect. And do you feel like, I assume that you do, I mean, you love this team, and you've talked about that. Do you feel like you have been able to instill your program now, your system, your way of doing things into a program that goes from here into the Pac-12?
Yeah, I think that certainly that's been the intent, and we've worked really hard to do that. And I think ultimately to answer your question, when the cultural part and the execution combine for excellence on the field, that's when you can say, yes, we've done that. And so I think what you've seen is we're on our way. You've seen cultural parts, you've seen execution parts, and you've seen some inconsistencies in between. I always believe that culture precedes performance, and I think that's exactly where we are. And so we're chipping away at it and growing exponentially. But I'm not sure I've ever coached a closer team than this team that cares about each other and is consistent in terms of their work ethic. And eventually that'll show up more cleanly as it started to kind of down the stretch in the month of November and how we play the game.
We talk about, teams and quarterbacks in particular, that they make a big jump from year one to year two. From a cultural standpoint and the stability of the culture and what you're trying to build, how much of an advantage is it going from year one to year two where people know where the expectations are?
I think it's a significant advantage with returners. And so the landscape now is uncertainty, knowing that the portal is January 2nd. And so each coach and each program is considering their own roster, right? Who is returning, even with players with eligibility. And then we already know players that their eligibility is exhausted, so you're counting on them. But the uncertainty part is the existing roster that you have, right? And what other maybe surprises might there be there. And then anytime, and that's where I love the high school recruits and high school players, is that gives you a chance to have some sustainability and years rather than year with those guys, to then consistency has a better chance to be passed on and hold and passed on and hold and passed on and hold, where a lot right now is a player that might come in 1 year and then is done, meaning either he leaves for someplace else or his eligibility is up. And there's some positions on a roster where that might be necessary. It's not ideal. But really when a player has a strong season, then they just quite frankly become a target for others, and then there's a financial component, and it's really a unique landscape. So to the question, as many returning players as possible help propel the culture forward through consistency and known expectations.
You talked about how close this team has been and how much you've enjoyed this team. I'm curious about you personally, how this year has, what's it been now, 20 years almost as a head coach?
Yeah, this was the finish of 19 as a head coach.
How does this one, in a new program like this, in a new place like this, stack up in your long career in terms of your enjoyability in this profession?
I'm not sure I've really loved coaching a team as much as this. I've loved so many of my teams, and it's not fair to compare, but these guys, their resiliency and their work ethic and their belief and their hope and their just their mindset and who they're becoming was really fun just on a daily basis to be part of. Really from my wife and I's perspective, as when I stepped away at Virginia and then chose to re-enter year one at Virginia or year one at New Mexico, it's always challenging to take over a program and relaunch. And we're just kind of, I think, 8 points away from postseason there in a program that wasn't expected to win many, and foundationally with about the 30 kids that remained there. It's fun to see kind of the growth and progress that then was captured and built upon this year with them. And for us to get to postseason is a minimum standard for anyone in our program and program expectations. But to be doing it back-to-back as a first year and then in a first year, that's been a really unique challenge, and lots of learning and lots of stretching and lots of growing, but also lots of gratitude. Logan is an amazing place to live, and our university, man, it's a magical place. So I think maybe what surprised Holly and I, not so much just about the players and the team, but man, the community and our institution. What a beautiful place with just great people.
Scotty and I were talking about that before you came up. New president, new AD, new head football coach, new conference. There seems to be an alignment that could really lead to some greatness at this institution over the next several years.
Oh, I think I just mentioned that in the press conference. The opportunity that is right in front of us with the Pac-12 is so exciting, and just what an amazing thing for Utah State to be able to move up right into battle into a new league. What we saw today is what that will look like, right? The caliber of players and the caliber of opponents. But with leadership, exceptional leadership, the AD spot and the president spot, those all that coming together at the same time of moving leagues it can't be designed any better than it is. Not just because there's changes at each of those positions, but I think because of who's filling the athletic director position and who's filling the president position. Man, they're remarkable leaders with great track records and also just a fierce commitment to be successful in the Pac-12.
I know we can't seem to have a conversation without talking about the greatness of Bryson Barnes. Left the game, and just there's never been a kid that I know of that has left more on a field than that young man has. And you wish you could clone him and find a way to bring back more of them of him and find 22 of them, but it's probably not the case. But just again, just to look back on what he's meant to this team and this 2025 campaign.
Well, he's set the benchmark for what's expected from any position in terms of what they give and how hard they compete and how physical and how tough and how resilient and the type of leaders. He's moved this program forward more than I think any coach could, just through his daily example of leadership and intensity and effort and production. And so our team has just watched him every single day, and so they know what excellence looks like. And man, that's so powerful. And to have the chance for when Bryson went out to see Jacob come in was remarkable to me. A sixth-year player on his third school that has battled through all kinds of unique challenges, and then to get his opportunity in this game and to step in and perform like he did from the same room that Bryson is. There's excellence in that room in different ways. So I think Bryson certainly had an influence there, but I also think Jacob just resonates everything the program is about, and just when his moment came, he was totally ready. And wow, what a nice job he did at the end of the game.
Certainly we'll remember Bryson's performance at Fresno State, but I think what I'll take from today is the way that he exited this program was going forward, not refusing to slide, refusing to give himself up, and that's eventually what kind of took him out today. But that's what I'll always remember is he refused to take a step backwards.
No, he won't go backwards. He only knows forward, and he only knows doing that through a competitive spirit and a resolve that's just unbreakable. And he's uncommon. I think that's maybe the word I would use most, is he's just uncommon in his commitment to his teammates, the game, our institution, and our football program.
Before we let you go, Brevin Hamblin joined us a moment ago, and he mentioned that the camaraderie, echoing a lot of the things you just said, the camaraderie has been at an all-time high, a team that's very close to each other. When in this landscape of college athletics, there's pretty heavy turnover on a roster, how can you continue to foster that when there's a lot of people coming in year in and year out?
That's a really good question. I meet with our team every single day, and we talk about things that really are instrumental in building people and building teams and having success and life lessons. And that daily messaging combined with the expectations of doing super hard things and knowing that hard things together galvanize people, it's only been a year, and yet it had that result in terms of the camaraderie they're talking about. And I think while I don't like it, I don't think it's the best for young people or college athletics, it seems to be more of the norm now of short-term roster construction and building, and then doing it again, and then doing it again, and then doing it again. And so hopefully through our selection and assessment process, and again foundationally, which is high school players, but that takes time to build your roster deep enough with high school players, so then you're not in the portal as much. And so we'll be in both for a while, which means that we'll be in this building and then rebuilding the cultural part yearly to some extent. The more that we can retain, the more that we keep, the faster that will go because of their point of reference, right? And then more messaging is coming from players rather than coaches because they've been through it and they share the stories. And when you forget your stories, you lose your culture. So the more players that return, the more of those stories are in the locker room, the more of those stories are walking out to the practice field, the more of those stories are told on weekends, not just in a team meeting. And so, again, the retention of your existing roster is super important for, again, not restarting, but just moving forward from where you were. And that's really where the programs are that will, I think, have the most success.
One of the fun things that we heard from Brevin was the enthusiasm of which he talked about getting back even in 2 weeks' time to start spring ball and the off-season conditioning. And that's the kind of enthusiasm I think that your players are feeling from this program. And so if you look at the roster reconstruction, is it across the board, or are there 2 or 3 key areas where you feel like we've got to really nail this down now going forward?
No, it's it's fairly consistent across all positions. In terms of players we're losing, that means through graduation. That doesn't mean through the portal, right? That just means players through graduation. So you look hard at that, knowing we filled our first high school class. And there's a late signing day for high school players, but really there's about 21 or 22 portal spots still that will be necessary for this team this upcoming year based on graduation of experience and upperclassmen leaving. And I'd eventually like to have that be about a third of that than where it is. January 5th starts school. January 2nd, the portal opens. So we have the fastest turnaround in all of college athletics from the portal on the 2nd, school starting the 5th. So really, it's Christmas, but coaches have their phones and computers, and we'll be working and staging and being ready. And again, our players return. They have some break, but then they return to school the 5th, and here comes the off season already. So, the calendar is very unique and challenging at Utah State based on how fast that is. But I think most of these guys, you could just see they were anxious to get back to work already, and that's a tribute to them.
I know we got to let you go here shortly, and we all got to get back home. But I just had to tell you personally, Bronco, as a friend of 40 years, this has been a special year for me to be an Aggie and to see the transformation back to what this program needs to be. And for where you and I talked several months ago to where we're at today, I think you kind of predicted what this might look like this year. And I love that you're talking about it's the minimum standard. It only gets better from here. And so a message maybe to Aggie Nation of hope and of where this goes from here.
Yeah. So I've been a head coach 19 years, 17 postseason eligible teams. And again, playing the 13th game is just normal. It's expected, right? That's just baseline. And so what was accomplished this year was baseline. With so much work done and gratitude for our seniors and et cetera. But I think the way the kids play and the way they work reflects our institution. I think Cache Valley, I think our alumni, I think anyone that watches the program the kids will battle hard right to the very end, and they're not going to back away from anyone, and they love contact, and they like a challenge, and all of those things is my hope that is noticeable and reflective of how they play, because they're representing everyone that we're talking about right now. And then the executional part catches up and combines with that. And then not only are you postseason, you win postseason. And then the type of postseason games you're in starts to change. And it just goes from there, and it doesn't ever look back. The landscape is different. The league we're moving into is different. So that's all playing up now from where we are. And so even to accomplish the same thing will now require a better football team and a better program than we just ran, and I just ran this past year. And so I think it's worth saying that out loud, because and that's what we're acknowledging, and that's what we'll have to work toward, recruit to, and build for, to, again, when you play up. And that schedule, in addition to the non-conference games, which will be challenging as well, to even make it back to 13, again, is baseline. Now to win 13 that's the next step, right? And if you're doing that against higher caliber of people, then there's progress. So, yeah, there's no time to rest, but optimism for sure, and the direction, the trajectory, the leadership, and I hope for all the fans and for the alums and everyone that's watched us play that they feel a sense of hope in what they see, how they see it happening, and I know it will happen in the future. That's how I feel.
Coach, we can't thank you enough being generous with your time, and all season long, just not today. Good luck as the portal opens, but more importantly, happy holidays to you and your family, and hopefully you're able to peel away at least for a few minutes and enjoy the holidays coming up.
Yeah, same to both of you. Just really enjoyed our visits throughout the course of the year for our listeners, again, for our fans, for the students, for the alumni. Yeah, really grateful to be able to lead these young men, to be able to coach at Utah State, to be here at a bowl game with them, to spend a couple extra weeks. Yeah, and the fight continues, so appreciate all the support my wife and I and our staff has received so far.
You got it.
Thanks.
Bronco Mendenhall, head coach at Utah State.
The game is over, and now KVNU Aggie Game Day continues with Aggie Call, the complete recap on all the action of your Utah State Aggies. We want your comments and questions about today's game. The phone line is 435-753-KVNU. The text line is 435-554-1175. Plus, more interviews and insights are coming as we break down the Aggie action with you in the Aggie Nation. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker, Stockton Jukes, and Eric Franson.
Welcome to KVNU Aggie Call, and I tell you what, the phone line's open, 435-753-5868. The text line, 435-554-1175, where we will talk about the bowl game that happened today. Not the future, not the transfer portal, not any of that stuff. The bowl game that happened today in Boise. The Aggies drop it 21-34. Stockton Jukes joining me. I'm trying to not be angry, but I've had some time to cool off, and then that anger just peaked back up again. Tyler Larson joining us, Utah State Aggie, NFL vet. And gentlemen, that was really rough. I know there was a lot of try to sugarcoat it that we've heard, but that was not the performance we expected to see there. We expected a competitive performance, and flat out, we played better against Texas A&M. We played better against Vanderbilt on the road in their house than we did at a neutral site, quote-unquote, road game against a much lesser opponent.
I think the thing that has me most frustrated today is that the things that we were the worst at in week one, we were even worse at today. I mean, offensive line was maybe their worst performance of the season. Offense could not get going, 49 total yards in the first half. Poor play calling to go along with it. Like, just the things that we have been talking about for 15 weeks now never got resolved. It never, at no point did they get resolved. And on top of that, the defense regressed to where they were at the beginning of the season. So it's just a really, really frustrating way to go out on a season that could have, think about it, we could have been 9-4, Mountain West champions, done with our bowl a week ago, and maybe we would have put up a better fight against Washington. I don't know, but because we lost 2 games on bad coaching decisions and then it just didn't even show up for this one, we're finishing the season 6-7 for the third time in 4 years. It's just disappointing.
It is. Tyler, let me hear your thoughts, my guy.
Couldn't agree more with offensive line. I feel bad for Matt Barnes. He had the ball. First read, he had guys in his laps. They had a great plan going against him with the run game. They had a lot of gap exchange on the backside when we had a read option. Forced Barnes to keep it. Linebacker was right there ready to get TFL. But I got to tip my hat to the defense. The amount that they did, the turnovers they were getting, we had 2 on the Boise side, or not Boise, Washington State's red zone. We couldn't get any points on the board. It was just frustrating, and then you could just see the defense just getting wear down more and more and more, and so obviously their score keeps going up.
Yeah, I got to tag onto that. Defense regressed at the end of the game, but that's because they were on the field for 36 minutes today.
Unreal.
36 minutes, and the offense didn't help them out at all. After all those turnovers, it was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Like, they never got a chance to rest, so those guys struggled because they were gassed at the end of the game. It was just not the opposite of the famed complimentary football that we talk about so much around here.
Uncomplimentary football. Tyler, I need you to help, bring me back to a place where I'm not anger from inside out and the top of my head is glowing red. How does this happen? I think this kind of sums up the whole experience for this bowl game today, and we'll get to the text line in just a second, 435-554-1175. I see you guys stacking there. We score a touchdown in the fourth quarter. How do we get a freaking delay of game penalty on the extra point?
I think guys were just so excited not to get goose-egged in the game. A little bit too much celebration.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah.
It was just a day like that. And then looking back at the drives for Utah State, punt, missed field goal that I hope we find a kicker in the transfer portal. Interception, punt, half, punt. And it's just, and then with TD, and, some unfortunate things. The targeting call with Ike, the letter of the law that is there. You can argue with it and be, whatever, but that's what they saw. That's what the officials upheld.
Yeah, the argument shouldn't be, oh, that's a bad call. The argument should be, we need to rework the wording of the rule.
Yeah. And then, of course, talking about that on X, mentioned, Bryson Barnes lowered his head. He's a ball runner. I checked out of X because everybody's, saying that's targeting. How is it not this?
But the difference between a ball carrier and a defenseless receiver.
Yeah, and if you go back and look at it, they glanced off it and the way it is, and, it's been kind of made fun of. It's been joked about. Even Bryson, even Bronco made fun of it during the season. Bryson out there and some of the choices he makes are very aggressive, and that led him to be out of the ballgame.
And Utah State has benefited from no calls in that situation earlier this year against other mobile quarterbacks. It's just if your quarterback goes down and drops his head as he initiates contact, he's not only initiating the contact, but he's lowering his head into the helmet where the defender is already trying to get under his upper body. So it's just bad timing and not a great choice by Bryson. Really sad to see his career end like that.
Yeah, and just unfortunate to see, Ike, being disqualified from that. There was no malicious intent. He was just going for it. It's just the bang.
Forearm glances off the forehead of what's the word?
Defenseless receiver.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so to the law, the rule that they've got to do it. The rule needs to be looked at and addressed, and maybe like they do, with they did with the targeting, but they need to maybe break it down a little bit more, Stockton. I don't know. Tyler, your thoughts on this?
I think that rule, even back when I was playing, has been broken, and it's just so inconsistent and it's tough. Yeah, you got the review, and then it just I don't know. It really needs to get tinkered with to make it more balanced for everybody, because if we had a game next week, he's not coming in for another half, so it can damage teams another week, so they got to figure this out.
I think I saw this idea floating around on social media, but one of the ideas that was floated out there is turn it into a T1 and a T2, kind of like you have flagrants in basketball.
Yeah. That's like that.
And so, a T2 is going to be an ejection, but a T1 is unintentional. I think that might be a good way to go about it, but That's way above my pay grade. So anyway, let's go ahead and hit the text line here on KVNU, brought to you by Master Auto Tech. Trust your wheels to Master Auto Tech. Expert service, honest communication, and results you can feel on the road. Starting it off with 0500, I think Mendenhall is just trying to get ready for Christmas early. I don't think our offense was even close to being ready for this game. On the bright side, our defense played fantastic. Debatable. I think we should target some of the best Washington State defensive players for NIL. We need a couple of them. We can't compete with their budget.
Yeah, Washington State does outspend Utah State pretty significantly when it comes to the arms race in the athletic department. So
Wazoo was a top 25 ranked team two years ago, and that generated a lot of alumni and booster support for them, even into the next few years. And I think having the Pac-12 get revitalized is also kind of reinvigorating a lot of their athletic support. So,
and they're going to bring you have NFL talent, that a lot of NFL talent that went to Wazoo. They, were kind of the punching bag in the Pac-12 with, being the little brother to the Huskies, getting spanked around by the Ducks and USC and stuff. But they're a built program, and we saw that defense and what they did to this, this Aggie team. That offensive line, the penalties, all right, sometimes you got to do that when you get there. But they only allowed 3 sacks. One of those I'm going to hand to Bryson, because if I can count 3 1,000, you got to let that ball go. Because if you know that every time you call hike, it's a jailbreak, you got to get that ball out there quick, right?
Well, yeah, and it was an empty protection, so they got 5 against 7 guys rushing. He's got to know where his hots are. So, okay, he's coming from the backside. I got to get rid of the ball.
But that was also something we saw. His interception, he watched it right in.
I think
he locked in on his receiver, watched it. The DB, and you're playing against a little bit upper talent when you're dealing with, those former Pac-12 players coming. They just read his eyes across the defense.
I think he came into this game mentally thinking, hey, I'm going to go out on a high note. I'm going to go out on top. I'm going to pass for 300, all this stuff. And he was just trying to force the ball, force his reads, force his way through on the ground. Unfortunately, like Tyler said earlier, Washington State was very prepared for the option that they run, and they always had him covered, even when he was pulling the ball. Usually when Bryson pulls the ball like that, you can see him get around the edge for 5 or 6 yards, and there was just no space for him today. So, really frustrating, but I think that it got to a point, especially I think this is what led to that run and him leaving the game with the potential concussion, is he's just trying to do too much by himself. And I get it. Like, it's the end of your collegiate career. You want to go out on a high note. You want to give people something to talk about, something to remember on your way out the door. Unfortunately, if you try and push that too hard, things go the opposite way. And so I think he put himself in some bad situations and made some bad decisions today because he was trying to make it flashy and make it, big on the score sheet, and just didn't take some of the smart plays every now and then.
It was just an interesting play call. Like, coming out halftime, the first pass was a deep throw that was just way out of bounds. And then, we're ending up punting right out. Like, it's just a real interesting play call. Of course, we're talking the Aggies drop it to Washington 34-21. The Aggies lose the Idaho Potato Bowl. Up next, 9315, a couple texts in here. In this game, defense demonstrated exceptional performance, while offense fell short of expectations. Anytime you got the defense up there for 36 minutes, like, they're going to be gassed. How can we strengthen the offensive line? I appreciate your thoughts and efforts in organizing Aggie Call for Football. Thank you, 9315. I'm thrilled to continue. Regarding basketball, thank you. We will do that. And his last question is, do we ever think we'll have a football and basketball year that is remarkable under Calhoun and Mendenhall? I think it's a possibility a couple of years down the future for this Utah State football team. Basketball-wise, I think there's a possibility they could be ranked this year.
Basketball, we're there. We've been there for a couple years.
They're pretty good. Now, Tyler, I'm going to go with you. Now, obviously, outside from Daddy Warbucks writing a big old check and go getting some hogs, go get some of those corn-fed guys.
Yep.
How do we strengthen the offensive line for our Aggies?
Just repetition. I think the spring ball is going to be huge. Being able to get everybody on the same page. This was the first time in this offense. So we have a young center. He's going to be able to take hold of, all the leadership that the offensive line needs. If he can keep everyone in check, make sure everybody knows what's going on, I think next year it should be a lot better if, things go align the way they need to. But I think spring ball is going to be the biggest focal point on the offensive line.
Moving back up through the text line, 5662. Wasn't expecting that today. Amen. Really poor showing. The defense played well enough until they knew the offense wouldn't back them up. Tough way for Ike to end his college career on the targeting call. Tough showing for Bryson. Left it all on the field. Time to reload for next season. Lots of holes to fill. Both sides of the trenches must be the priority. Yeah, and I think at this point it's pretty clear that the offensive line was kind of the struggle unit this year, and hopefully that's been identified now by the coaching staff. I think Bronco, like has been mentioned multiple times, is going to have a lot more time to organize his team this offseason and into spring ball. So hopefully, next year that's a little bit more disciplined. Moving it on up as well, 0783. What Bronco needs to do this offseason is bring in a pure drop-back pocket passer quarterback to start the season so that at some point he can put in Anthony Garcia or another running back or another running quarterback against an opposing defense, unprepared for him because of spending the whole week game planning and preparing for pocket passing. Burning someone the same way that he burned us in his BYU time with Jake Heaps and Riley Nelson.
I'm not the dual threat quarterback guy.
I'm not a fan.
I think you go with the guy that gives you the best chance to win.
Yeah.
And I think looking at kind of the pedigree that the Aggies have recruited under Coach Mendenhall and McGiven, you got Anthony Garcia, who's got the dual threat. Bryson, of course, but Bryson was here. You got Caleb Maryland. He's all dual threat. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What did you see any of his?
I sure did.
Oh, man. Won a Texas 6A championship this past weekend. It is amazing. But I don't know. I think Coach Mendenhall is going to go with the best. I think if you move in and out of that position, especially that leadership position on the team, that could be very
It gets real
tricky.
dicey when you start juggling quarterbacks back there.
One of the worst things you can do to an offense is change quarterbacks every other week. One of the worst things.
You get used to their cadence and their call and everything.
Yes. It would throw everything off. It's not a good thing. I would say that with McGiven's offense, I think mobile quarterbacks thrive a little bit more just because of all his read options. I wouldn't expect a pocket passer.
That's why a lot of people actually ripped Spencer Petras apart a couple years ago, because Spencer had a great arm and he was more of a pocket passer, and he was forced to play an offense that wanted him to be more mobile than he was. It was a situation of many errors. Anyway, moving on up the text line.
I could spend a thesis on the play
I saw it in your eyes. We need to move on.
13-26.
How did they not review the hit on Bryson for targeting? Because it wasn't targeting. Also, Washington State taunted us all game and the refs did not care. It kind of goes both ways. It's a bowl game. You get active.
Bowl games, it gets so chippy because you have to do the events with the other team. So you just have so much time with one another. You're bugging one another. Like you have your little cheers and stuff you do on one side, the other time. Every single bowl game does get chippy.
Well,
they're fun.
And Washington State, I think, did a good job of what Utah State didn't. Is they used some of those emotional moments as leverage and as fuel for the fire. Utah State, I thought, should have reacted a little more strongly to the kicker laying out Javen on the late hit. Not because it's an egregious play, but because you needed some sort of momentum, some sort of emotion. Yeah. So anyway,
it very much felt like 90% of it was Albuquerque 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. I said that in the first quarter. It was evident from the beginning of this game that Utah State played about as emotionally uninspired as they did in Albuquerque.
I don't know if they it just felt like it. There was no real fire. There was no real drive there that I saw until the end, and you saw some stuff spark up.
Still working through the KVNU text line, 435-554-1175 for your thoughts, brought to you by Advanced Heating and AC. They now offer a fall-winter preventative maintenance program. Schedule your service call on their website, advancedheating-ac.com. 65-43, another lame bowl game. Why don't we cut down the number of bowls and act like the FCS teams, have a mid-major championship playoff, have the G6 conference champs in it, and 10 others based on ranking. NCAA makes money, mid-majors have incentive to play for, and fans get a few more games. The experience of allowing mid-majors in the CFP playoff just isn't working. Why are we talking about this right now?
I think
I'm really confused.
It's top of mind, and it's like because the Aggies just went there and got smoked by Washington State.
And I get that, but why are we jumping into the playoff bracket argument when Utah State has no business being in that conversation anyway? I get there's some frustration on a national level about
maybe moving into like a mid-major championship so that we could,
I don't hate the idea, but I'm just confused as to why this is coming up right now when we're talking about the Potato Bowl.
Where everybody's trying to do what they can, Stockton, to deal with how the French fries hurt us in Boise, okay? I you know what? Stacy has a little Mr. Potato Head. I am smoking that thing when I get home.
Out of that
I'm going to get him, and then I'm throwing him in the oven in the broiler. Next up, we've got
53-38.
53-38. Aggie football math remains the same. Bryson Bucky Barnes running for his life on offense, plus inconsistent play from defense equals another bowl game loss. I think the defense really
I'm on their side.
Yeah.
Dude, like Custer's last stand, the defense were the last soldiers standing out there.
And again, the only reason they regressed to week 1 and 2 is because they were on the field for 36 minutes. That's over half the game.
88
that's
plays.
ridiculous.
I mean,
there are some conditioning sessions that don't go that long.
No.
I imagine cramps. I imagine they're gas. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of sore defensive Aggies. Up next, 52-92. Offense was clearly unprepared. I don't know what was going on with Bryson, but his decision-making in this game was the worst I've seen from him. 52-92, I can see some of that. There was a couple things. I mentioned it, the drop back when you knew it was, you guys said 7 were coming. It looked like jailbreak. You got to throw that ball out. Yep. But you looked at the route. Everybody was going like 10 yards out. Right. And it just some interesting throws and stuff that made the heave into the end zone. And, you saw that and you're like, okay, well, that's what it does. But then in the fourth quarter, you see Conover throw a ball that his arc could be like hang time for a punt. And he just laid it right in there. And they were able to pull that off. So it's kind of an interesting, I don't know. What do you think?
I think what Stockton said, I think Barnes just wanted to go out with a real big bang for the team.
Trying to play hero ball.
Yeah, and it's just sometimes when you force it too much, you get in bad spots.
One more text from 5292 that dropped in while we were talking. Why can't the Aggies be the ones that take the fight to the other team? Seems like we have been way too reactionary this season, especially in our most important games. Maybe at times. I think Bronco, especially because of how negatively emotional this team had a tendency to be after some games last year. I think he really wanted to rein in that emotional reaction on either side of the ball. And so I think that's why you lacked some of that fire in some of these games, New Mexico and today. I think those are the two that are really sticking out. But that you can address now next season, now that you've got the locker room in shape and the emotions aren't going to come back and bite you in the butt. So I think it's just a matter of discipline on that point. Moving up, it looks like 0-4-2-8, pretty disappointing game right from the coin toss. Very poor showing from fans, 90% Washington State fans, but the weather turned out great.
Well, they're only an hour or so from Pullman. I mean, and let's be real honest. Pullman, Washington has great Cougar old cheese, and that's it.
Yeah,
it is an ugly, unforgiving, toothless place to live. So of course, a lot of people wanted to leave to go to Boise. That's a big step up for them.
It is.
For us to go from Logan to Boise, it's slumming it for us. We've got to work on it. But, yeah, I know. And they're a lot closer. The travel, you also got to dictate it's the Monday before Christmas. And that's really hard to travel.
Yeah, it's weird. I will say it looks like I just pulled up a map because I was curious about this. It does look like they have about a 2-hour longer drive than folks in Logan do. We're 3.5 hours from there's 5.5 hours from Pullman. So
they're 5.5 hours from Pullman?
Really? Yeah, that's what it says.
I thought it was right next door.
No, on the road. They're next to Moscow, Idaho. So you have to go pretty far down south.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I think that you're also dealing with a school that again has some more resources, probably a wider alumni base, a wider fan base that's willing to travel.
You're listening to Aggie Call on KVNU Logan, 102.1 FM, 610 AM, and to Aggie fans around the world at kvnutalk.com.
Thanks for that legal ID, boss, man. So 5.5 hours. It's, I don't know. Everything about today was weird. Utah State just did not play the same kind of football they played for the last couple weeks of the season, and it really feels like just, I don't know, kind of in Christmas break mode almost.
I'm going to jump to the top here because 6021 just texted in on something on the Ike ejection. Yes, we did, 6021. To the letter of the rule, it was targeting based on his forearm glancing the blow to the helmet for a defenseless receiver. To the letter of the law, if you read it and how the officials are told to interpret it in the game, that's what they are told to do. Our beef is probably going to be with they need to look at that and see, because that wasn't really, it was a football play, bang, bang. Ike didn't have anything. We mentioned Stockton kind of kicked something out, maybe a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2 for ejection.
I love that idea.
I think one of the things that's important to consider is that the intention of the rule does not match the letter of the law right now. Like, the intention of the rule is to protect player safety when it comes to head contact, and specifically egregious intentional head contact. That's not what happened to Ike today. He glanced a guy on the head. It was, letter of the law, defenseless player, so you have to toss him there. But you got to address that rule as just a wider NCAA governing body, because it's worded to a point where you're, ending players' careers a quarter early on a hit that's just really not that bad.
Coming up next, 6740. I'd love to hear Tyler's opinion on this. Well, it's up to the big man if he decides to share his opinion or not. Right. 6740. Our quarterbacks do not get enough depth to help our O-line out. They stand and bounce instead of getting depth. We play action, an unbelievable situation. The QB gets his eyes down, gets no depth. Can't find the defenders to read. Play action when it's 2nd and 3rd and long is not the right way to use play action. Blame the offensive line. They are put in an impossible situation where the quarterback doesn't get enough depth. Is this your phone number? Did you just text in?
Nope, I'm good.
But what do you think about that? Because, look, I don't want to get pancaked through the wall out into the pasture from Tyler. So I'm always nice to the offensive line. Of course, I'm always nice to the big uglies because I am a big ugly. But what do you think about that?
You want the long answer or short? So there are different types of protections. We know by a certain call, it's going to be a 3-step drop, 6-step drop, could even be an 8 or 9. Doesn't really, we don't know what play is called, but what Barnes is doing, yes, play actions, it takes a little bit more time. Guys have to be able to know that we are selling the run before our quarterback can even look. If it's a 5-man or 5-step drop, obviously you got to take different sets. So it's really the offensive line has to be sharp on what type of set, what type of play. So what I saw today, guys really were not doing what they were supposed to do. A lot of times I saw a lot of jump sets, and he's taking a deep set or a deep drop. So, that's my answer to it. I think that offensive line really needs to know the difference between each type of protection that they're running.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Yeah,
it's a lot of really in-depth stuff there. I love having that perspective. But yeah, it really does feel like you combine all that with the fact that you had a couple guys out there that wanted to leave an impact in their last game. Like, that's understandable, but it just guys forsake their assignments in the easy play, trying to play hero football, and it's really the story of why the offense struggled so bad today.
Up next on the text line, 9315, dropping this in. One last thing. Ike could have made an amazing wide receiver, yes or no? I think Ike, with the ball in his hands, is very much could be a playmaker, but there is definitely a reason why he was playing the defensive backfield position he was. I mean, that tip drill was great. A 2J awesome. Getting that up, that was awesome, but Ike being aware enough to get that.
He also dropped a couple earlier this season. There's this funny saying that floats around in football, but there's a reason that guys are corners and guys are wide receivers, because the corners don't catch the balls and the receivers do. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that, Ike is a very talented football player. Do I think that he reached his full potential at Utah State? Unfortunately, no. I don't think he did. But I think he had some really good showings, and I think that he's going to be fondly remembered.
2490, if you think I got the shaft, go back and see how few Aggie players came up to him on the sideline. I'm not exactly sure about that, because to your point, 2490, I know there's some of that, but that was something I watched once Ike came back from his suspension, and there's a lot of love. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of love from the players to him, and there's a lot of love from him to the players. In fact, when Rinker was going through his stuff, it was Ike that I saw a lot of the times, the first one there to greet him off the field, to meet him, to see him. And so I think Ike is loved in this team, and the reason why is because he's playing and he was welcome back.
It's really important to remember that not everything that happens off the football field is on camera. It's one of the reasons I like to go to home games in person. You get a better feel for kind of the vibe of the bench and the vibe of the coaching and the decision-making and all that kind of stuff, because you really just don't see hardly anything that goes on the sidelines on camera. They'll point the camera there for a little bit, And maybe we only saw a couple guys go over to Ike, but I can almost promise you that's not the entire story of what happened.
And guys are locked in. They're ready to go in on defense. Offense is on the sideline going over their awful performance.
Well, and his defense is still on the field.
That's what I'm saying.
And,
so
and
it's
the game's not finished at that point, too. It's still in reach.
Not everybody can just go hug him and say, hey, thank you.
Up next, 1326 435 554 1175 if you want to sound off. Davis dropping that guy and staying in bounds was awesome. Also, I'm not sure if the field goal net stopped at a single kick the entire day. Finally, I thought our defense played solid. 3 interceptions and a turnover on downs is solid. We just didn't capitalize in the first half when we had to. I think 73 says, or 1326, you echo what we were talking about. All the drives ended in punts and, turnover on downs and half or interception or a missed field goal. And, you just can't ask them to come out that many times and defend and expect them not to break because they're allowed to give up something too. The offense has got to show up.
And I think it's important to note as well that Utah State, they weren't going onto the field for 5-6 minutes at a time and letting the defense reset. It was 3 and out and about 60 seconds of game clock. So it was just such quick turnarounds for these guys over and over.
Up next, 7376. O-line was horrible, maybe the worst position group performance I've ever seen. They just went out there and got their backsides kicked for 3 plays and walked off the field, showed no emotion or frustration. Nobody in the group stepping up as a leader to try and rally those guys. Sad way to end the season. We were favored to win that game. I think there was toss-up.
The line had us at a 1.5 favorite, but most of the other metrics had a pretty 70-30 split for Wazoo. So,
Mr. Offensive Line, I'm gonna let you talk about the position group there.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned the center's young.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to age full spring. This isn't Coach Mendenhall and the crew coming in like December to set everything up and get it. They've been here. They know what to expect. These guys know what to expect to get settled in. This unit's going to have more time than they did last offseason together.
I'm telling you, it will be a different offensive line next year. If you look at most teams who is a new offense, the offensive line usually does not do that well. So keep your head up. It's been hard ragging on these guys a little bit, but I mean, you gotta do it sometimes. But I think spring ball, everybody's gonna come back. They know the performance that they had, so I think it's gonna light a fire under them. Center's gonna get them all in the right page. It's gonna turn around.
Keeping it going on the KVNU text line, brought to you by Baugh Motel with the Aggie 79 rate. Stay at the Baugh Motel for just $79 when you mention Aggie 79, 435-752-5220 for the Baugh Motel. 5292 says Utah State is now 1-4 in their last 5 bowl games. Really disappointing. Got to figure out how to be more competitive in these games. No, not just these games. I think in conference throughout the entire regular season, there's several things that you got to clean up. But I think one of the good things to try and remember is that, this has no bearing on this season or next season. This is kind of a for fun game, and it wasn't very fun for us today, no doubt about that. But there are things that you can learn from this game. There are things that I'm sure will be addressed by the coaching staff in 2 weeks when that turnaround window happens and you've got the portal opening up. Like Tyler has said, and like I said during the roundtable and pregame, I think that you're going to have a lot of transfers in with some experience come in here, that Bronco's going to want some of that leadership in the locker room and on the field. He mentioned it specifically to Scotty when he was talking about the transfer portal slots that they have and wanting to get that maturity in. So, there's a lot of changes that are bound to happen in this kind of an environment in college. But I think that, moving into a new conference, having some stability in the administration on the academic and athletic side, all of that bodes well for the next few months.
Up next, 7254. We should leave Tanner Rinker in Boise. We're not leaving any Aggie behind. Well, you know what? It's the magic of live radio, folks. Hi, Aggie Call. You're on the air.
Yeah, I want to talk to the guys.
Hey, you're on the air right now with us.
I know this one.
Yeah, that's your old friend Clyde Hess. I've sat here and listened to all the negatives about the game, and I'm disappointed too. In fact, I got thinking I might enter that fan portal and transfer
Stay with us.
What offers are you looking at there, and how can I convince you to stay?
Well, I don't know.
Come on, you and I
But,
both know that you could never force yourself to put on a Boise State jacket. It's never going to happen.
Oh, not a Boise State, but I might be a Cougar.
Oh, yuck.
man.
Oh, yuck.
No, wait a minute. A Washington State Cougar.
Oh,
okay.
Slightly better.
They've got good cheese. The Cougar Gold cheese, I tell you, is great stuff. Comes in a can. You pop it open, man, couple crackers, and all of a sudden the can's gone.
Okay, I spent some time in Washington when I was in the service. So. But, no, once an Aggie, always an Aggie, but it was sure disappointing.
It was,
today.
and I think overall the season was good though. Just the fact that we're disappointed in a bowl game performance, it's got to say that this season was a good season.
Well, you look at it, if we'd kicked a field goal in Las Vegas, that's our 6th win. If we'd have kicked a field goal against Boise State, that's our 7th win. So
this is why I am the way that I am.
Yeah, that's just. I mean, it's just been a season of games of inches.
Yeah.
But I think Broncos on the right track, and we do need, though. It was very obvious this group is not ready for the Pac-12.
Well,
we've got to get bigger, stronger, and faster, which was mentioned earlier. So.
Yeah, right now it kind of feels like we're in competition with Colorado State for bottom of the Pac-12, and they're going to have to make some serious changes to get rid of that label when we get into football in August next year.
Okay, well, we've got to remember it'd be tough to drop being an Aggie with this basketball team we've got. Speaking of Colorado State, I mean, that was a complete disaster for Colorado State the other day.
Yes, it was, and that's how I told everybody in the conference room watching the game. They're like, "How are you coping with this?" And I'm like, "I'm thinking about December 30th and how the thing's done." Thanks so much for the call, Clive. And one final text coming in here, 7376. We're going to hand it over to Jason Williams for the people here in about 5 minutes. This one, what portal losses are we tracking so far besides Pagan? Pagan, the big one, I think C.J. Naismith is an edge rusher that's in there. Also, Carter Brown, one of the kickers, is in there. There hasn't been anybody really that got big minutes that I've seen so far. There hasn't been any big names. It was really kind of Pagan that was out of the bowl game, I think. But other than that, I haven't heard anybody yet. So that's pretty encouraging from a team that turned over a bunch of guys last year.
That window doesn't open for 10 or 11 days, though.
Yeah, I understand that,
so
but
I think
it's
there's still names that could pop up.
There is, but it's the transfer portal is a lot like the 2036 election. You already know who's running. They're already campaigning. They're letting you know. Kids were calling out the transfer portal at the last game of the championship round. So it'll be interesting to see if any more leave or how they come in or what it is, but it's a quick turnaround. The guys, got Christmas, and then in 11 days, that transfer portal opens.
I think there's still some internal discussions going on, too, between the coaching staff and some of the players that may want to leave, or maybe they're discussing with some guys that they think would be better suited to transfer out, open up some spots. So there's still a lot of that internal decision-making that's going on that they were going to hold off on making any decision until after the bowl game. So I think Christmas in 2.5 days, I think after Christmas going into this next weekend and into the week of New Year's, that's when we'll start to hear some of those final names come out. But yeah, I don't think that we're going to lose too many to the portal. It's really that we're going to lose a lot of starting talent to graduation.
Yeah, I think we see a lot of those guys are going to graduate. Of course, Bryson, Ike, you got Brock Lane, Josh Sturzer, several of those guys that are going to be graduating and aging out. As we're coming down and closing out our final Aggie call of the season, guys, some final thoughts. Tyler, I'll go ahead and start with you. What was it like sitting in this studio across from my ugly face after every Aggie win, lose, or draw? How'd you like your first season here on Aggie Call?
This was a blast. This is something I look forward to every single week, even if it was a loss. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to doing it more.
Well, if you like it, we might have to bring him back around for some other stuff occasionally from time to time. But next season,
Amen.
Lord willing, nothing changes. We don't have an asteroid or anything. All right. So Tyler going to be joining us next year for Aggie Call. My friend, I know you wanted to be out, but you are going to be here for academic time. So do I get you next season?
I'll be here for Pac-12 football.
All right.
I'll be around. I'm graduating in December of next year, so I'll be around at least for football. TBD after that. Not gonna close any doors. Not gonna commit to anything after that. But yeah, I know for sure that I'll be here for 11 and a half more months. Looking forward to it. And boy, thank goodness it's basketball season. Love doing this. Such a blessing. Such a treat getting to do a lot of this and kind of go full circle, have a bunch of cool moments personally with family, following the footsteps of uncles and grandpas and dads and stuff. So just really love doing this. And even though, a game like that is tough to watch, I'm so glad that I get to do that for my job.
The thermostat I use for me is I disassociated from football about 6 years ago because it was ruining my life. The Seahawks were ruining my life, let's say that. And in the Ducks, like we'd have somebody the Heisman race and they'd blow an ACL. So I had to separate. And then I start covering Utah State football and basketball. And all of a sudden my heart health is in jeopardy. And I'm stressing out all the time after it. And I think the reason why is because I really enjoy covering this team. I really enjoy living here in Cache Valley. It's been amazing for me and my family. We're all in like this real golden age for all of us. So being here, win or loss, has been a great honor for me to step into these shoes. Al Lewis before us here on Aggie Call and Aggie Game Day, but we've had an absolute blast. Stockton, thank you so much for your help this season of football. Tyler, my friend, it has been awesome getting to know you and learning how to respect the offensive line a little bit more and learning to watch my P's and Q's because, man, getting pancaked by Tyler, it leaves a crick in the neck a little bit. So that's going to wrap it up for us here on KVNU Aggie Game Day. The next time we are going to be talking will be the 30th, right?
Yeah, we'll be back in 8 days, 6 o'clock show, 7 p.m. tip-off.
Yep, the guys are out in Fresno on the road. It'll be New Year's Eve. So if we hope you guys have a great Christmas, be safe out there, be careful.
Don't forget tomorrow's Christmas Adams, my favorite joke to make every year.
Christmas
Adam came before Eve.
Yeah, isn't it Festivus tomorrow? Don't I get to air my list of grievances?
Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes. Tomorrow's going to be fun. So Jason Williams in up next on For the People. For Tyler Larson, Stockton Jukes, I'm J.D. Walker. Thank you for listening to KVNU, Aggie Game Day, and Aggie Call this season. We'll see you this coming up next Tuesday for hoops and next season for football. Have a great night, Cache Valley. We'll see you back next time.
Just find a place to make your stand. Take it easy. Well, I'm standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. It's such a fine sight.
This Utah State broadcast has been a presentation of News Talk KVNU and the Cache Valley Media Group, the heritage home for the Aggies.